Time now for a Bush League Justice update. For months, I've been raising questions on this show about the case of former Alabama Governor Don Siegelman and asking whether politics played a role in the Democrats' prosecution and whether high-level GOP operatives, including Karl Rove, were involved. Last week, now Fox News analyst Rove fired off a 5-page angry letter to me complaining that our coverage, quote, raised questions about my journalistic standards and accusing me of repeating my, quote, fondest desires rather than focusing on evidence. He distributed that letter to the press on Friday. Today at 12:30 p.m., I sent his lawyer my response, part of which I will share with you in a moment. But first, some background on the Siegelman case. Former Alabama Governor Don Siegelman was a rare breed, a popular Democratic governor in a red state from 1998 to 2002. After narrowly losing his re-election bid, he was preparing a political comeback just a year later. That's when Alabama prosecutors stepped in, bringing federal corruption charges against him, charges that were quickly thrown out. Then, just over a year later, they went after him again. This time he was convicted, but just on 7 of 32 charges. The judge imposed a 7-year prison sentence, effective that day. Then this Republican came forward and claimed she had heard leading Alabama Republicans talk of Rove's involvement in the case.
Bill Canary said that he was going to get his girls to take care of Don Siegelman.
Bill Canary was an old friend of Karl Rove, and Simpson claimed under oath that she heard conversations linking Rove and Canary to a campaign to bring down Siegelman.
The 2 girls that he was talking about, I had to ask who they were, and he said it was Laura Canary and it was also Alice Martin, who were both United States attorneys.
Her account is now being challenged by Rove and others. But Rove's longtime friend and political confidant, Bill Canary, was married to a U.S. attorney whose office brought these new round of charges. But it's not just Simpson who's expressed concerns about this case. 52 former state attorneys general, Democrats and Republicans, have demanded that Congress investigate. Then last month, an appeals court stepped in and released Siegelman while he appeals, saying his legal team raised, quote, substantial questions of law and fact. Appearing on Verdict earlier this month, Siegelman himself raised questions about one man in particular.
Karl Rove's fingerprints are all over this case, and, you know, if you ask me, do we have the knife with his fingerprints on it? No, but we've got the glove, and the glove fits.
Now, Karl Rove has denied any involvement in the angry letter he wrote to me April 13th and released to the media last week. Rove said, quote, I certainly didn't meet with anyone at the Justice Department or either of the 2 U.S. attorneys in Alabama about investigating or indicting Siegelman. I asked him to clarify, even if he didn't meet with anyone at Justice, did he discuss the case with any of them? He went on to question why I even allowed Dana Jill Simpson to appear on the program and accused me of failing to challenge Simpson or Siegelman. In reality, of course, I challenged both. You're not hinging this all, though, on Dana Jill Simpson, are you? Because there have been a lot of people who've questioned, you know, how she could have been at certain meetings, how many times she actually met with people, where she was at the time, etc. I mean, your allegation that you believe Rove is behind this does not hinge entirely on the credibility of Dana Jill Simpson, does it?
I believe that when you look at the totality of Rove's involvement in Alabama politics, we had investigators, we had assistant U.S. attorneys, we had the U.S. attorney herself, and we had representatives from the Public Integrity Division of the Department of Justice who were violating laws with impunity. And I'm saying that Karl Rove was definitely involved in this case.
Now, I've never suggested I know that to be true. I don't. In fact, I asked Siegelman about the fact that a jury, not Karl Rove, convicted him. But in my 5-page letter, I called for Rove to testify in front of Congress, just as Ms. Simpson had done. Mr. Rove, I wrote, you accuse me of diminishing the search for facts and evidence, yet thus far you have refused to answer questions under oath, or even from me, that would aid in that very search. In the wake of the U.S. attorney controversy, I wrote, and all of the questions surrounding this case, it is more than fair to ask. In fact, I would say it's my journalistic duty to ask whether Karl Rove had any role in instigating the prosecution of a prominent Alabama Democrat, given that you knew many of the players and in a state where you had significant political connections. Rather than continuing a spin campaign against the media and me, I hope you join me in attempting to restore faith in a hallmark of this nation, our apolitical Department of Justice, now understandably and regrettably enveloped in a cloud of suspicion. Once again, I invite Karl Rove to come on this program to discuss the case with me.